having studied Abraham Lincoln, I can't help myself but always try to bring in the lessons or stories of Abraham Lincoln in order to illustrate a point. Hi, Sameer Somal here, litigation consultant, confidant to law firms, expert witness. There was one particular case I was hired for. In this story, there was a gentleman who had hired my client to do some digital marketing and public relations work, then decided to form a business with the consultant that he hired where he would offer those same services. My client, he then went, because he owned a family business, went to all their friends and family and said, you need to hire our new business with my new business partner to help market, establish, work on your digital presence, SEO, all those things. This gentleman that is his business partner took on all these clients, didn't really do any work, collected all the money, destroyed the reputation, and then sued my client. So I had to come up with an interesting way to be able to relate this situation. And I kind of had it in my back pocket. And so I shared that this situation reminds me of when Congressman Lincoln in 1848 gave what was perhaps his most critical speech. At the time, there was a General Cass that was running for president. And Mr. Lincoln began and said, Mr. Speaker, at the adoption and recommendation of a friend, I make the notion and statement that General Cass is generally of successful, splendid charges. Charges not against the public enemy, but against the public treasury. I introduce the expense accounts of General Cass to show the wonderful capacities of the man, where they show that he not only did the work of several people at the same time, but he oftentimes did the work of several people several hundred miles apart at the same time. And his capacities for eating were quite as wonderful. They show he ate 10 rations a day in Michigan, 10 rations a day here in Washington, and nearly 5 rations a day partly on the road in between the two places. Mr. Lincoln then said, General Cass has mastered the art of getting paid for what one eats instead of having to pay for it. If any young man were to ever have a bill that he couldn't pay, he could just board it out. We've all heard of the animal standing between 2 stacks of hay, starving to death, the like of which would never happen to General Cass. Place the stacks 1,000 miles apart, General Cass would stand stout midway between the two and eat them both at once. And the green grass along the line is apt to suffer too at the same time. Congressman Lincoln, an artful articulation in this particular story. He then said that, gentlemen, by all means make him president, and he will feed you bountifully if there is anything left after he shall have helped himself. And there's some wisdom from Abraham Lincoln, 1848.